we go to the game.
Rolling into Lijiang Tower, moving into the night market, and it will be Legion looking not full goats in any form of respect, but they are going to be running a Brigitte with the 76, and I've been seeing this from Legion where they've been more willing to flex and put Corey on the 76, where most other teams and contenders right now are kind of shying away from it.
This is one of the big questions. I was wondering if they're going to play this standard or go for something wonky like they did on Oasis City Center, where they did run this composition. And so Corey, especially with the sprint and the speed boost coming out, should be able to make it to the point really quickly. But right now, LNL, they don't even want to take the fight on the outside. Enlair peeks, and now he's getting chased down. Corey is there to take him out.
Yeah, Enlair need to get with this team immediately. Now LNL, they're going to be dealing with that man disadvantage. Sugar-free on Brigitte, which, I mean, he can be a good Brigitte, but he's not going to make the hero plays that he would on a different hero. So far, this is a win for the Legion. Decod a little bit far out, and now the Legion, they're up 2. They'll just go in. They don't have to worry about Widow. There's no Reinhardt in their face, and they just overpower here onto the point. As we look at Corey right now, looking for damage on the outskirts, and the Legion just going to push LNL off.
And this is basically the same thing they did on City Center last week up against their opponents, where running this composition, they caught one person off guard, and then from there, they were able to win the fight. Now, they are going to be able to push all of LNL off as the point unlocks, and they will take it. Pooks!
Quite literally pushing them off with the power of sound directly to the pavement. Pooks making that one his own. Good way to finish out fight, though it was hitting that way anyways.
And now we'll see if LNL make any kind of adjustments here. I don't think they should, because they do have a good rotation of ultimates coming online. They've got the rally as they come into this fight, but Decod goes for the Earth Shatter. It gets eaten up by Panker's barrier.
All right, LNL looking for a way out here, using Coalescence to lead the way. They're almost getting Blase, but Blase gets topped off. The Legion smartly back up, and they're buying Corey time to lay in the damage on the other side. Meanwhile, Panker's going in. He's taking a lot of damage because he knows he has a primal rage. Gonna use it mid-fight, disrupting, that's enough. The Legion taking the next fight.
Everything went absolutely wrong for LNL. Their next even went for that Graviton Surge, but it looks like it got eaten up by gods. We didn't quite see it, but after you hear that voice line and Nex is already building up his ultimate charge, it got eaten. And so now LNL, this is where you want to see some swaps coming out, but they're not going to really go for that. There we go. Enlair goes for the jump shot, takes out Rolf, and they don't have a Mercy, so Legion can't res this back in.
And the other thing, too, is that the Moira is sort of the heart of what they're running here. Panker doesn't have a Primal Age to rely on, so no one's going to be able to heal him up. And it's Enlair with 2 very key pickoffs that set the stage for LNL. They're going to easily be able to go onto that point, and Corey just needs to back out at this point.
But the Legion, you know, they're no strangers to playing this kind of advantage, right? Where they end up getting 80 to maybe 90% on the point, and all they really have to do is just come up with 6 big ultimates, get one last team fight, win it out. But LNL do have a margin of error here. If they lose a team fight, they might be able to come in. Earthshatter comes out, this time it connects.
And meanwhile, you have Corey in the back. Attack Visor ready to fight. As it's breaking down, it gets better for Attack Visor. Gonna use it. Doesn't have as much as sights, but just sugar-free. That's gonna be enough. Gets rid of the Brigitte early on, sets up the 6-on-5, and now he's gonna fight Enlair directly in his face. Can be a little bit dangerous. A quick flick shot can work it, but Enlair can't land it. And now you're gonna see the Legion rotate back over to the point. LNL, though, it's next, charged up, effectively getting 2 kills there, moving back the other way, and LNL was able to crit it out on the center of the point.
Yeah, without the Soldier 76 there, with Corey going on that lone mission and get rid of Enlair, that allowed the tanks to just stand on the point for LNL. No one was dealing with them at all because, well, you don't have your DPS there, so Decod is able to just swing freely and get another Earth Shatter up. And so now Legion, they will have another opportunity as they make some swap-offs here. They're going to go with really ordnance-heavy composition on the Pharah along with the Junkrat.
Yeah, it's very explosive heavy, but it's also a risk where they're probably not going to be able to get ults up in the nick of time unless they just go crazy in the back. But now we're looking at Corey right now, going to the side flank, which Farah's used, and gets Enlair a rocket directly to the face. And now they're going to try and go back and protect it, but they don't have a Mercy here, so they can't bring it back up. And the Legion now, with the man advantage, just working their way in. The explosives from the sides starting to do their work. It brings down Dogman enough for Panker to get the finish, and he sends Zarya off on a ride.
Panker with the Primal Rage. That is a team fight win condition that you only ever need for the Legions there. Now, Enlair's going to try his best as he gets back with the Tracer to keep this contested, but the point will flip. Luckily for them, again, Legion were only able to secure 73%, so there is a margin of error. They can take one lost team fight and come back now. And they've got some great ultimates. They might be able to get that Grav Pulse Bomb combo up.
Yeah, I mean, the key here is Graviton. Oh, pulse bomb immediately! That means they don't even have to use the grab to get back on in. And the problem for the Legion is that LNL is already at 96%. With that early strike set up by Enlair on the Tracer, this is going to be a quick take. And the Legion, even if they can get back in, it's not going to be great. Now, they use the Graviton to finish out the fight even quicker. But now you look towards the Legion. Okay, there's a tire coming in. And once it kills 3 people, this is likely going to be LNL's round.
Decod has another Earth Shatter here. He doesn't have to throw it onto the Wizards quite yet. Has to wait for the Moth to get, of course, declipped the wings, and now he comes on in, but still they are trading away. Rolf gets a kill onto Sugar Free, but now it might be too much. LNL might have just done it.
Legion unable to bring that back. It was a valiant effort towards the end for sure, where, I mean, that's more than you can expect given how they lost the fight with the margin they were in, but yeah, gonna be Legion losing the first round there, and that's very interesting given what we thought coming in.
Honestly, I do just want to go back to that point where Corey chases after Enlair, who's on that Widowmaker. Now, sure, she is a threat and you do need to deal with her, but also when your main DPS is, of course, going to be your Soldier 76, someone needs to deal with Decod. Now, Decod was able to just play one of the freest Ryans I've ever seen in this game, where he was just continually swinging. I believe he had about 5 Earth Shatters, maybe 6 in that last round.
Certainly a high contribution for him, and kind of back to the point of Widow is that it's one of the powers of Widow where people look at Widow and they focus on picks, but the pure power of Widow, the draw key members away, where even if the Widow falls, it's still been a big distraction. The fight cannot be understated in moments like that. But now, you're gonna see LNL just quickly move on to the point again, running a Brigida. The Legion gonna be running something that wants to poke them on the outskirts. But for now, LNL firmly onto the point. It's up to the Legion to evict.
So they are going to go with that GOAT's composition for LNL here as they push their way through the White Room. They're trying to walk down the members, and there it is. Corey already starts it off, taking out Decod. That's the main tank gone. And so LNL are just going to retreat now as Corey finds another pickoff onto Enlair.
Yeah, there's no one here to be meaty and beefy on the point for LNL. At Legion, they're just going to be able to wash over them like a tide because that's just going to be it, right? Where, look, even if you're running the D.Va on the other side, you don't have the other 2 tanks to back it up. And the Legion just like, okay, we have 2-man advantage. Your tanks are out of it. It's going to be easy.
I like the swap off coming out from Blase. He started off on the Tracer, I believe, but now he goes over that far, and that far does make a huge difference for the team because they are running the GOAT's composition. No one really there to be able to deal with her. Sure, maybe Nex can look in her direction and try and block some of this damage, but eventually the Rockets will get through, and they will be able to poke away at these tanks.
Here's a good thing for Blase here, too, is that you have that defensive fire advantage where you can get so much poke in on the other team as they try and rotate in. But LNL's dealt with it pretty well. They have the Coalescence up that they get burned really early into this fight. But the Legion, they're going to move in themselves. They open the Valkyrie, both team support ults out, and Corey right now just looking for the pick on the outside, not getting much. Blase makes it rain indoors. Not going to be too protected from that. Gets Decod out of the fight immediately. And now you see Panker laying in the cleave damage to the backline. Won't even need to use the Primal.
And also, because LNL, they're not running the Mercy, they're running the GOAT's composition, right? So it relies upon the Lucio speed boost, along with just the raw healing and damage output coming out from Dogman and Sugar Free, that they don't run the Mercy. But without running the Mercy, you can't, you know, erase mistakes like that, where your Widowmaker goes down, and so now you have to wait for the respawn.
Well, as Decod was being cheeky and went to Widow real quick to try and pick the Widow and then go back, but Corey was on top of it, wins the Widow on Widow, and Decod says, I've had enough. Meanwhile, Panker going real deep with the Primal Rage, just disrupting before LNL can even get started, but goes a little bit deep, ends up paying the price for it, but it's Corey on the opposite end. Equalizes by getting Ajax, and bear in mind, LNL's not running a Mercy. They can't move that the other way. They have to invest here even deeper with the Graviton Surge, so they're going to throw their bodies on the point, and now you have to look to Enlair, right, where Enlair is about to throw out the grab, and oh, gets taken down before he can use it. And that's going to open up Blase to just go in over the top and drop the barrage.
There's nothing this composition can do, especially if they lose that Lucio. He is the one that's able to get them into the point much quicker. Now, if Ajax gets picked off, they're just sitting ducks. You saw Blase continually through the window be able to pepper them with those rockets. Ooh, even connecting with a body shot onto Sugar Free, a direct shot with the damage boosted, with the damage boost coming out from the Mercy, taking them all out. And so with that, they're going to tie it up, and now we're going to map number 3.
And of course, map number 3 on Lijiang is a bit different than the other 2 rounds where you're in the control center. It's very indoor heavy. It's a round where teams really prefer running either a GOAT style composition or something that's more Junkrat heavy. We might be seeing a different variant, though, coming out from LNL, where they're looking to run McCree, which, of course, can be effective on this stage, but it's very feast or famine. McCree comps, you either see the McCree utterly dominating or the other team just getting obliterated in turn. So it's very one way or the other, to say the least.
Yeah, luckily, you know, McCree does have that flashbang, so he's going to be able to disrupt Pinker on the opposite end and, you know, kind of serve that purpose that a lot of Brigitas do come into play. But it's very difficult still to try and set that up, right, where you try to get the Earth Shatter as soon as the flashbang comes on out. Now it's Corey who's slowly making his way on in with this Hanzo. Hasn't done much damage yet, nor has Blase, but just give it time.
For now, they're just using the double projectile DPS to wear down LNL on the other side. And LNL, I mean, they're not exactly going too deep in on the other end. Both teams are just kind of fishing right now, but Sugar Free gonna pull up a whale, takes out Blase immediately. However, Blase was in position to get res back up. Both teams trade out res, but you see the Legion way better positioning here. The tank sees the opportunity, move on in, and even though it's gritty back and forth, it's looking like the Legion are well on their way to getting this first point. They just need a pick or two more.
There we go, Ajax is gone, so now without the main support there, they're gonna go ahead and back away. Legion able to take this point, but yeah. As soon as you go for that res, you see Panker just jump on top of Decod, and Decod can't do anything but hold his shield up, or he's gonna go down quicker. So it's very difficult to play the Reinhardt once a pick comes off, because you know your Mercy is considering it, do I go for this res or do I keep my main take up? Generally, they go for the res.
And I think, speaking of ults here, I think Corey might end up going for the Raw Graviton here. I don't think he's gonna wait for, the Raw Dragon Strike. I don't think he's gonna wait for the Graviton. Blase, though, drops the early tire, gets next. And meanwhile, what that means is that you look towards the Legion ultimates here. Corey got to save the Dragon Strike, so they're gonna have it for the grab in the eye, but he gets taken down by Dogman on the far side. Nex is brought back up, and now you look towards Nex. He's gonna be able to grab right off the Resurrection as LNL starts to bring it back the other way. It's a raw grab, answered by a Shatter. And meanwhile, you look towards Sugar Free. Has the Dragon, but Nex went down, so he doesn't have a combo partner as both teams continue to brawl it out.
Now, Sugar Free does trade away, but it's Panker who's somehow still alive here with a sliver of HP. He's got both orbs on him. His shield will hold for now. It's got 600 HP as Dogman is trying his best to get behind, but now they're gonna transcend it, get Panker topped up. Dragon Strike comes out to zone them out. So a lot used there. There is an opportunity for LNL to come back with the retake, especially with these ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to be Graviton Dragon, and the only way this doesn't happen in that way is if Nex gets picked off early or Sugar Free gets picked off early, because now you look towards Panker. He's looking for the early Earth Shatter, but there's the Graviton, there's the Dragon. Easily takes down 3, and there wasn't any real way for Legion to avoid that.
You just kind of take it. You take the team fight loss, and then you just try to, you know, extend your lead as much as possible after that lost team fight. And so the Legion will go ahead and push this to 90%. So a little bit different than what we saw earlier on, where they only got it to about 73 when we were on Night Market. The margin of error for LNL is almost non-existent, but that's a great way to try and delay. Blase goes down. Here comes a res from Pooks. That's going to be off cooldown for another 30 seconds now.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with those pickoffs when it's that far out is that you have no way of stopping res. I mean, yeah, it puts on cooldown, but you're still gonna have to endure the push. But Sugar Free grabs 2 on the other side, and well, that's one way of ending a push for good.
Yeah, the main strat for LNL at this point is just butt Sugar Free, right? Where he just comes up with a play to keep them in this game. Now, he did go down there to the Fire Strike, but Ajax will be able to res him as Legion were still regrouping. They were waiting for their respawns. Sugar Free with another Dragon, but Nex is 50% away from the Graviton as the Riptire comes in from Blase.
This is a really aggressive Riptire. The Legion aren't really ready to dive in on it, just looking for one, but one often is enough. Where Pooks' res is gonna be just coming back up. Sorry, not Pooks, but Ajax's res is going to be coming back up, but meanwhile, they're not able to res end layer. They have to work on the 5v6. They're down Ajax, and now they're going to have to Dragon Strike just to make room, but it's too late. They're fully out of the fight. The Legion retake. I don't know if LNL can get back in here.
Decod just got staggered. He was the main person you wanted to try and charge onto the points. No one's going to be able to make it as Panker plays Bouncer, and that will be the Legion stumbling a little bit on the first round, but finishing it off 2-1.
Well, maybe it won't be completely an overtaking 4-0 as we first expected, because LNL had some fight in them.
Yeah, LNL looked better than expected, although I do think that the kind of the narrative of tank battles, right, where we kind of saw it in the end, where count how many times we saw Panker fall early versus how many times Decod fell early. And Legion, I mean, true to their form, they focus on winning games off the tank end. And I think really, especially as they buckled down after round 1, that's what we saw.
Yeah, it looked like Night Market was their warm-up round, where things did kind of fall apart in their game plan, and then from there, Decod really did take over for LNL. But once we got over to Garden and then moved over here to Control, Legion just looked like a completely different team. This is what we expected out of them, especially after their performance last week.
Right, but Sugar Free was just performing incredibly.
That's the strat.
Yeah, that's the
but
strat.
Sugar-free.
But sugar-free.
But sugar-free. That is the strat coming out from LNL. And he did have his moments, but it's still not enough.
Right.
Yeah,
One person can't carry an entire team.
And that's what we talked about in the preamble, right, is that as many praises as we throw the Sugar Free, and well warranted, by the way, where he has been one of the strongest breakout players in Contenders, period, the problem is that he's not getting the support that other players get. And, I mean, look, the upside for him, it's a long development process. I think last year he's like 15 years old, so he could be a mainstay in Contenders for a long time to go. And now you just feel bad.
Oh, my God, 15 years old. What was I doing at 15? Like finger painting? My God. Just such incredible talent from such a young soul. It baffles me. It blows my mind. I mean,
that just makes people scouting for OWL angry, though. It's like, yeah, I'd put this guy on my OWL team. Can we age him up 3 years?
Right. Is there something we can do? Somebody call Moira, who, you know, messes with genetics and aging, probably.
That didn't work out well for Reaper, just letting you know.
Oh, right. Forgot about that. Well, don't call Moira. Pretend I didn't say that. So other than Sugar Free really popping off, what other highlights could you take from that map?
I mean, again, I think we saw good moments from Dogman where he was able to get early pickoffs, was avoiding a lot of the pressure that was coming in on him from people like Corey at points. So, I mean, there are bright spots on this LNL team. It's just a matter of keep it together for a full round of Overwatch, where they did it on the first round, but the Legion came back just much stronger.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? It's so difficult, especially as a team that doesn't really have an organization behind them, to have the kind of same level of preparation that the Legion have. As we moved on to the latter half of this map, we saw there's a huge difference in how they prepped and the kinds of composition that the Legion could actually pull out, while LNL were just struggling to try and keep up with them.
I would also say there was a few bright points from Enlair early on where I think it was difficult for him to keep it up over the course of the match, where we clearly saw the Legion kind of change their game plan and work to isolate him a little bit more midway through. But Enlair, if you compare it to last season where he barely got any playtime, has had moments where he's been doing pretty well. And also, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's still playing on EU ping as well. So, you know, bravo to him.
All right. Was Corey performing as well as you expect him to, or maybe he's just warming up a little bit on this one?
He had some great Widow performance, especially there on Garden, and he was one of the main reasons why that they actually won that first team fight. If it weren't for those picks, LNL, they had an opportunity to actually punish. We saw that Panker was actually being controlled. Sugar Free got on top of him with the Brigitte, and that's kind of what you expect when you have a Winston on the other side jumping on in. The Brigitte controls. Panker could have died there. If it weren't for Corey coming up with some huge clutches, it would have gone in LNL's favor.
But I would say on the flip side, Corey looked more mortal compared to what we saw from him the latter few maps, where, you know, it almost feels like Corey has set the standard of, you know, control is kind of hit or miss at times where he has some good moments, but also disappears. And then as the series goes on, he just gains in power.
Right.
And now I'm just curious to see, as we head into our hybrid map, are we going to see Corey go, okay, you know, time to remove the shackles. It's now time to see my true form.
Right. Eichenwald is a great map for Widows. Would you agree? Or is this something that we would really have to see him get creative?
Right now, I'd say almost every map can be a Widow map to a degree. It's
Okay, that's
it's just
fair.
a matter of how much. Where the point was like, yeah, we have Widow maps now. It's just like,
Sometimes
but how
you miss
much do you
those
want to play
days
it?
where, like, yeah, you did have actually specific Widow maps, but now every map is a Widow map. What I'm really worried about here on Eichenwald is that we might fall into the Brigitte trap, where last week we saw with Envious that even though we know Tailspin is great on, like, Pharah and other characters, he ended up playing Brigitte for the majority of that map. And we saw on Li Zhang right there, just beforehand, Sugar Free was on the Brigitte duty. Now, do you really want to put your main carry on the Brigitte?
Yeah, that's a fair point where, I mean, it's not that he's a bad Brigitte, but he can exceed his limits far more on other heroes.
Exactly. Well, let's see if we fall into the Brigitte trap on Eichenwald.
You know, to that point, it's also kind of similar where anytime you see Panker on Orisa, right, you're just kind of like...
Why?
Yeah, it's like, okay, Panker, you're fine, Orisa. You're not playing badly at all, but we know what you can do if you're a scientist.
You have so much potential, son. Just Come on, really? Let's go to university. But no, it's going to be LNL starting off on the offense. Legion here. I like this look. You know, you do have that main tank line of the Reinhardt along with the Zarya, and you're just playing to your strengths here. Corey going to be on the Widowmaker as Blase picking up that Pharah.
All right, then gonna be Pharah Widow on one end, and LNL gonna be ground and pounding a little bit more. And you take a look at the stuff they're doing here, it's something we've been seeing more and more of, where it's like, why run 2 supports when you can run a Roadhog instead? It does mean that Ajax will be a bit of an Achilles heel, though, because if you can remove Ajax, there's not gonna be any healing.
Now they are trying to go for that halt hook. It didn't quite connect because Pinker was drawn in. He had his shield up, so they weren't able to complete that off, but they're slowly making their way on in. They have to be careful because Decod is the only one with a shield here. Sugar Free is a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, Sugar Free, they're relying on him to get an early pick off one way or another. The Legion, they've given up a lot of room, so LNL has a lot of space to work with. Enlair challenging Corey on the right-hand side, stopping Corey from focusing his attention on the tanks. And LNL just slowly trying to make their way through, looking for that arrow, looking for that hook. As you see Dogman going in deeper, almost gets his head, but not quite. The Legion, they've bent back a lot. They've given up a tick for free, and Panker's already out of the fight. And the slow burn for LNL starting to pay some dividends.
Main tank is gone. Blase tries to answer back, but it's too little, too late. He takes out Enlair. And now it's going to be, of course, LNL just staggering the rest of the members from the Legion. We'll see if they make any swap-offs here. They weren't really able to do much. LNL, like you said, just slow burn them. They were able to march on to the point. It was kind of like watching Terrans play mech.
Yeah, and I mean, the unsung hero there, oh god, Terrans playing mech would be here for 50 minutes, yeah. Jamerson, or longer. Those games go a while, but I would say the key thing there is that Enlair kept Corey in check. Corey wasn't able to do heavy damage to tanks because he was busy not trying to get hit by the other Widow, which meant that it was all down the Pharah, and it wasn't enough to really remove those tanky bodies from the point. But the Sugar Free out, Legion now have a 6v5 opportunity to come back the other way, and Blase gonna drop some rockets the other way around, picks up 2, and the Legion get to solidify.
This is a great spot for them to try and hold now. LNL looks like they will be finally making the swap-offs. Decod will go back over to that Winston as Dogman now. Pick up the secondary support in the Zenyatta, so that's going to offer some valuable utility, right? You've got the heals, but more importantly, you've got the damage boost coming out. Decod is able to pincer in Blase with the rest of his team. Sugar Free making his way up there too.
And you take a look where Legion are at. They're trying to draw this indoors. Oh, not going to happen. God's taken down, but the rest is there. You can still drop the Graviton if necessary here. So they want to drop more indoors to get a better Graviton, have them all together, and pick the Hanzo and Mercy together. Good enough. That is enough to take the team fight, enough to make LNL reset.
Now, despite that, LNL, you know, the last fight, they made swap-offs. Dogman, because he was dishing out so much damage, he's already at 65% towards Transcendence. Rolf used his in the last team fight to keep his team alive now. And Decod's even getting close to that Primal Rage, which, as we inch closer with this payload towards the bridge, can be a very useful tool. But then again, it could also, you know, kind of be a little bit of a trap, right? If Pinker sees Decod go into Primal Rage, he knows that he can't throw down his shield. That means it's a free shatter for Pinker.
Oh, I think it could be a free shatter either way. I don't think Panker's going to have any chill whatsoever. Drops the shatter. Only gets the Diva on the other side. Both Enlair out of the fight. Corey, room to work with. This is when a Widow feels great, where there's no one to immediately challenge right away. Aside from the baby Diva who got him down to 12 HP. However, God's is going to move forward, finishes out the rest. The Legion, easy team fight.
Yeah, it was more of a distraction. Earth Shatter coming out from Pinker there. Actually, he might have caught more, right? But Sugar Free, of course, with the new Hanzo, has the added mobility of the lunge, so he was able to jump back out of the distance of that Earth Shatter. Pinker thought he had it, not quite. Now, LNL, they're down to 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Decod being a sneaky monkey now as he's slowly pushing that payload forward, but here comes a Dragon Strike out from LNL.
Yeah, it's an early Dragon to get them off the high ground, but the goal here is disruption for pickoffs, right? Where they get Gods. That was damage from the sniper setting that up, and Decod gets to the back line. It's a tanks of Nex and Decod able to get rid of the lifeline of the Legion, and it was all set up by that Dragon Strike by Sugar Free that made them move and gave the tanks the opening to come back in.
Yeah, we're seeing teams utilize the Hanzo arrow in a much drastically different way now. Before, it was just always combo, combo, combo. But do you really need to, especially when you have something like Sugar Free connecting with all his shots? Even though he had just used it, he's already at 70%.
All right, the Legion gonna try and get back out here. They're under the gun. They're gonna use the Transcendence. Legion moving right back out. But Dogman says, I got Transcendence too. Let's all pray together. Self-destruct over the top. but there's a grab from the Legion as they desperately try and bring it back. The follow-through is there for Gods, and it's a late Dragon from Blase, but it's a payload clearing Dragon. Makes some room. Still not out of the woods here yet. They let the res go on the Winston. LNL fighting it back as best they can. And now, Corey taken down by Enlair. Enlair's ripping them apart from the backlines. Sugar Free isn't there just yet, but the Legion barely holding on here.
The Dragon comes in all the way from spawn. Hey guys, I'm helping. Oh wait, I really am helping. He picks up 2 with that. And now as we move on to the 3rd phase, we do have some swap-offs coming up from LNL. We're going back to the Reinhardt-Zarya battles between these 2 teams. The DPS will be making some changes for Legion also. Corey going over to Hanzo Blase, now onto the Junkrat, heading on to more AoE damage.
Yeah, I was about to be surprised, like, wait, there's no Junkrat out for Legion. It's like, oh, now there's Junkrat, of course. Last on Eichenwald, one of the better areas in the entire game to run a rat. We get a little bit of tank swing back and forth at the front, but one of those grenades lobbed over, got Sugar Free out of the fight for a little bit, but Legion is in a position where they can easily dive on down. In fact, Panker's shield is broken. He has to back out, so they weren't able to pressure the res. LNL can keep the team fight moving forward right now, and they're just trying to buy time for this Transcendence from Dogman, where he's so close to getting it in this longer burn team fight. They almost get the pick on the Panker, but now look to Dogman, who's going to look to transcend engage pretty soon.
Dragon Strike does come out, but Dogman, he's just going to go ahead and eat that. You know what? I'm not against that at all. Just go ahead and get the reset here because, well, there's not much else to follow up with throughout the rest of the team fight. Sugar Free was getting close to the Dragon, but Enlair is so far away from the Graviton at that time, so they're going to go ahead and reset here, not throw good money after bad.
And one good thing for them here is that they have a reasonable idea that the Dragon's not going to be up from Corey, so the Transcend versus Graviton has a decent chance of keeping people alive.
Corey is getting close, of course, to being able to get that combination with Gods, and Gods himself has been managing his energy and his shield so well. Take a look. He is high charge right now. Blase already taking out Dogman, gonna force out that res.
And I don't think they have to use the grab here. I think they should hold it. So, oh, Earth Shatter blocked just for good measure. That's the Graviton Dragon. This is weird from LNL. There's a lot of resources thrown into a fight. That's bad, but it does force out the Grav Dragon on the other side and a tire for good measure. LNL eaten up and blown up, sent back to spawn.
4 ultimates used by the Legion there. Looks like almost the same on the opposite end, so it's going to come down to Earth Shatter, along with possibly Pooks will be able to get that Valkyrie up for his team. Speaking of Valkyries, though, Ajax does have his, but it's going to be hard to try and really combo that right now because all he can really do is try and damage boost next and get a huge self-destruct off. But if that's what you're relying on in the last team fight, that is a huge hope and prayer.
It's not a great situation, though. Panker's had a rough time getting good Earth Shatters this entire time, but now, again, he's being sneaky. He's looking for it. He's getting focused super heavily, though, and now has to turn his back to the enemy team. The self-destruct still gets Pooks and LNL with 2 early pickoffs, making a statement known. Panker responded with an Earth Shatter, didn't get much of anything, and LNL might be storming this castle and getting through the points yet.
I don't know why I say anything ever on broadcast, because I know it's immediately going to bite me in the back. And so Ajax, along with Nex, really opening up that team fight, and now LNL have some great tools to try and finish this off. If anyone can even get onto the point, Panker just barely misses it, but Pooks is there with that Lucio. They've gotten a pick off onto Nex, but that's about it as Sugar Free is able to just fire on down the lane.
It might be enough, but Enlair, he's supercharged on the other side, flanking from the right on the Zarya right now, looking for anything, but meanwhile it's gone. Drops a grab into the back, gets Dogman, sets up Blase for the second kill, and the Legion are fighting on back. LNL so close to getting on in, but the last remnants of the Legion fight on back, and the castle will remain intact.
That was an odd kind of focus fire coming out from LNL when all they really needed to do was kill an individual member as they come onto the point. Now, they did, I guess, worry a little there as Panker jumped on along with Pooks, and now their attention got divided, and so they didn't know who to try to focus on first. And in that moment of indecision, that allowed Legion to buy a bit more time to get everyone on there, to get Gods back there with that Zarya, and his Zarya has been solid throughout this series thus far.
Gods has been looking very good, and I mean, frankly, he's had to look good because Panker has been getting focused so incredibly heavily. Even when he's not in Winston, you see every fight, what is LNL doing? They're going out of their way to break the Reinhardt shield and then break the Reinhardt in short order. Not break the Reinhardt shield and then go for other people. It's like, no, get rid of Panker, win the team fight after, and that's been the game plan for LNL, and so far it's actually been reasonably effective.
Yeah, they just try to go full Bane, break the back of Batman here of Legion. Pinker as the foundation. Even though he does go down, though, I mean, again, that's a lot of investment, right, that LNL put into taking out Pinker, and that allows people like Corey, Blase, and Gods particularly to really shine. And we saw through week 1 and week 2, the amount of space that Pinker creates for Corey allows him to do absurd things with the Widow.
You know, I just gotta say on the Bane note, that is entirely plot-induced stupidity where it's like, okay, I'm gonna break your back and then leave you alive. It's like, you've done the hard part here. You've immobilized the Batman. And now you're just like, no, I'm gonna give you time for a training montage to come back up. Absolutely ridiculous. Bane, you're a bad villain. But now as we look to the offense here coming up from Legion, yeah, Gods isn't gonna do Sombra, but Blase might. He has played it in the past.
Now, for the offense, this can be a little bit difficult to really try to run, right? Because you don't build the EMP as quickly as you used to, but if you can get it onto someone like Decod, someone like Nex, it might be crucial, right? If you can get an individual hack onto Decod, especially. Decod throws down his shield, he gets hacked, they burst through it, he can't refresh it with another one. But instead, we do have some swap balls coming out. Blase is going to go over to the Pharah, possibly the Hanzo. Still trying to decide. It's the Hanzo.
Yeah, I mean, Widow Pharah wouldn't have been that surprising. It's definitely one of the more in vogue setups here for Eichenwald. But the Hanzo gives you good pressure on the bottom where the Hanzo can be a bit of a wrecking ball. But the halt sets things up. Next, taken down immediately. And now Corey, again, look to the skies. Sugar Free is his prey right now. And Sugar Free on the other side just needs to dodge Corey while dealing damage to compensate for the fact that Nex is already out of this fight. But Legion, they're going to take it slow. They're not diving in immediately. They know they have some time, and Blase gets Sugar Free from the other side. A huge threat taken off the table, but Ajax gets the res back up, so he's not gone just yet.
Now Sugar Free will even it out for his team by enough time for Nex to make it back with this Diva. An end layer now. He's got more defensive setup coming out from his team, allows him to get set up with his Widowmaker, gets a bit more aggressive. And so the Legion, even though they had the initial pick off onto Nex, they really weren't able to punish it. LNL buying a lot of time, really able to hold on now. So 2 minutes and 35 seconds left for the Legion.
And they've gone to something that is very near and dear to everyone. When in doubt, they're in doubt right now, so they're goatsing it out. Legion just going to go onto the point and go, all right, whatever, just fight us on the point, cowards. And Sugar Free goes, yeah, I'm actually gonna do that. Gonna make it rain, drops the barrage for the top, takes down Panker with ease. And the GOAT's gonna lose their footing this time around.
Now this is really worrying because a lot of times, you know, people make this GOAT swap off just to kind of try and change the tempo of the match and just really brute force their way onto the point. But the LNL defense just handled that beautifully. They kite backwards. They took a much more defensive setup where we saw the Orisa holding on top of that cabin there. And of course, Sugar Free biding his time until the composition came in and then just peppered them and destroyed them with that Pharah.
The real problem for the Legion here, though, is that they're going to be going the double support ult and a supercharger. They've been swapping up so much that they don't really have anything on their end in terms of ult economy. They've been valuing just the ability to swap. They're giving Sugar Free so much space as he grabs Panker immediately. Supercharger, of course, making that even easier. And this is just quite awkward for the Legion, where now they're all stuck up there. LNL can approach us any way they want. Sugar Free is just holding onto the barrage going, yeah, guys, why don't you enjoy sunshine?
Now they're just delaying themselves, the Legion are, as they wait inside this cabin. Sugar Free is, of course, just building up ultimates. Now, Gods is trying his best to go to charge right back out. Once again, they are on top of them now, but
Sugar Free
is there.
Drops a barrage over the top. They forgot about Sugar Free. You don't do that when playing LNL. Of course he's going to drop a barrage. What do you think's going to happen? That's so weird to me that they're just ignoring the Pharah who is ripping them to shreds.
Well, the weird thing is changing to this composition when you know there's an enemy Pharah. There's a more than competent enemy Pharah on the opposite side. Sugar Free, again, just able to do whatever he wants, and now they finally have an answer. Corey swaps off onto the Widowmaker, so now Sugar Free understands that there is someone to contest him. He's going to play much differently. It's still going to be difficult to try and finish him off.
Yeah, and that's why he's hiding near the tower, right? Where he's not being as mobile because he doesn't want to get sniped in the back of that. He realizes there's a Widow back here in play, but the Widow's the only thing that can deal with him right now. And again, look at his HP. It's not going down from 200. No one is even looking at him right now as he's built up another 70% in ult charge in this fight alone. And with Corey falling on the opposite end, there's not going to be anyone to deal with Sugar Free. We're in our final 3 seconds. And Legion, they need a bit of a miracle right now if they're going to get on through. Panker is down. It's not coming from him. And Gods, final Graviton. Gonna pick up maybe 2, but nope. Runs right into a barrage because, by the way, Sugar Free, no one is actually attacking him.
I am absolutely speechless here. LNL will be able to tie this up 1-1 up against the Legion with a full hold on point A on Eichenwald.
So remember that whole but sugar-free thing?
Yeah.
I think that really applies on this map.
It's not just but Sugar Free. It's like, you know that Sugar Free guy? He's pretty good. Here's our game plan, and it's top-tier coaching. Ignore him. Ignore Sugar Free.
Why did no one pay attention to Sugar Free? Like you pointed out, he had full health while he was just destroying. Everyone's like, oh man, that fire is really killing us.
Because some Pharahs aren't as good and you can get away with just focusing on other people, but he is quite literally LNL's star player. He is the player that you look at and go, who are you most afraid of LNL? Sugar Free. What's our game plan? Ignore Sugar Free.
Yeah, he's not a threat, clearly.
I don't understand.
Yeah, and I honestly do feel like actually LNL, beyond Sugar Free, played this pretty well. Especially when you're running up against the GOATS composition that came out from Gladiators Legion really early on in this round. The fact that you have, of course, Decod on the Orisa, he can use the Fortify to really negate a lot of damage, and then Dogman is able to deal with a lot of the damage that Decod takes because of that damage reduction. And at that point, honestly, there's very little damage even coming across from the composition run by the Legion. So Decod was sitting pretty comfortably, and Dogman was able to do whatever he wanted to also. So that's why he was pretty crucial in being able to get rid of the mechs that were coming out from the Divas on the opposite end. Yeah,
I mean, the other thing, too, coming out from the Legion didn't really seem sure what they wanted to run, where even in the lead up to the map, they were making last-minute swap-ups before even seeing the other team. So it wasn't a, oh, we saw this, we're going to adapt back and forth. They're just sort of like, wait, what do we even want to do here? Panker felt uncomfortable with getting focused, where every team fight, it felt like Panker was going down early on that attack. It wasn't the most organized we've seen Legion look, but it also takes a team playing well on all cylinders for them to really execute on that, even if the Legion didn't have a great game plan.
Right, well, we have finally seen LNL wake up a little bit. We are 1-2-1, and we're going to go do a quick break, but stick around for more Overwatch.